Are you thinking of running a marathon? Before you lace up your shoes, here are 10 essential lessons about psychology, gear, nutrition, pacing and training that I really wish someone had told me. These tips can save you from hitting the wall, race day stress and costly rookie mistakes. My first marathon was frankly a bit of a disaster. I got so many things wrong. I didn't train right, I didn't make a fueling plan, and I set off way too fast and then I blew up. By the halfway point I was totally cooked, and I spent the next 13 miles alternating between shuffling and walking on my heavy, sore legs, while getting overtaken by people dressed as clowns or rhinos. Over the years I've gradually overcome my mistakes and naivety, but here are the 10 most important things I wish I'd known before I took on my first marathon. Marathons feel pretty easy at the start and then increasingly get tougher as you go through. So when the gun goes and you start running, it feels great. In fact, getting to halfway in a marathon is relatively straightforward, providing you've trained for it. The next section, from 20 to 30 kilometers or 12 to 19 miles, while more challenging, is still kind of manageable, but then it's the section from 30 kilometers or 19 miles onwards that's where everything can fall apart. This is where you'll feel the most sore and tired. You might even have major self-doubts during this section, and I know I do, even to this day. The good news is that once you get to the 40 kilometers or 25 mile point, things get easier mentally because you feel like you're on the home straight. You know you can make it from then, no matter how much you're suffering. These days when I run a marathon, I mentally break it into two halves. I think of the first half as being from 0 to 30 kilometers or 0 to 19 miles, and the second half from 30 kilometers onwards. So my goal in the first half is to simply get to the 30 kilometer point in the best shape possible. And that means pacing myself sensibly, consuming liquids and energy products, staying out of the wind and keeping cool as best as I can. So the first half is all about self-preservation. Once I reach 30 kilometers or 19 miles, I just focus on getting through the next 10 kilometers after that, or 6 miles. I know it's the toughest part of the race, but breaking it down like that makes it feel more manageable. And then eventually I get to the 40 kilometer point and I know I'm nearly there. And at that point, no matter how tired, sore or emotional I feel, I know I'll make it. So if you're running your first marathon, I really recommend breaking the race into sections like this because it makes the whole thing much more manageable. For my first marathon, I didn't make a nutrition plan. I just figured I'd have an energy gel every now and then. So it was no surprise that I started suffering from the halfway point and never recovered. My legs were so sore I could hardly bend them, but I finished even though it wasn't pretty or enjoyable. So years later I ran my best marathon at age 49, finishing in 2:39, and I put that largely down to getting my fueling right. During a marathon you'll burn up to 3,400 calories, which is the equivalent of 1 or 2 days worth of food. About 30 to 50% of that comes from stored body fat, and 50 to 70% comes from glycogen, which is your stored form of carbohydrate. The problem is that your body only holds up to 1,500 calories of glycogen, so unless you top it up, you'll run out. And when that happens, your performance drops fast. The tricky part, well, by the time you're halfway through a marathon, your stomach won't be feeling great anyway. Nausea, bloating, and even diarrhea is common, but avoidable. The key is to practice your nutrition in training. Most people don't consume enough. Depending on your size and experience, aim for 30 to 60 grams of carbohydrate per hour on race day. Some runners can handle up to 90 grams per hour if they've trained for it. When you break it down, 60 grams per hour is about 2.5 to 3 energy gels. If you're aiming for 90 grams, that's around 4 to 5 energy gels per hour. It doesn't have to be energy gels, that's just an example. The more you practice your fueling in training, the better your gut will handle it on race day. So start by practicing this 12 weeks out. In every workout that's an hour or longer. To further boost your energy stores, eat a high carb diet for the 48 hours before race. Aim for 8 to 12 grams of carbohydrate per kilogram of body weight per day. That's a lot, and it can feel like an eating competition sometimes. Stick to mostly carbs and avoid having too much protein, fat or high fiber food like salads. Usually a balanced diet with things like salad is great, but not in the 2 days before a marathon. Eat simple carbs like cereal, white bread, fruit juice, white rice, and avoid heavy pasta the night before your race because it takes longer to convert into glycogen and may leave you feeling full and bloated. On the morning of your marathon, top up your liver glycogen, which depletes overnight, and start the race with steady energy and no stomach issues. You should aim for 1.5 to 3 grams of carbohydrate per kilogram of body weight, ideally 3 to 4 hours before the race. A sample 150 gram breakfast might include 2 slices of white toast with jam, 1 ripe banana, a bottle of sports drink, and a small bowl of Rice Krispies with skimmed milk. Running 26.2 miles isn't just a test of your body and mind, it's a test of your gear too. And what might feel like a good idea on a 40-minute run doesn't necessarily feel so great after 3 hours. A couple of years ago, I wore some cool new Nike shorts that kept getting stuck in my inner thighs as I ran. Every 10 seconds I was trying to wrestle them back out, and it was really annoying. Even in my most recent marathon, I wore some expensive super shoes that I hadn't practiced in much because I didn't want to wear them out because they were expensive. They actually felt a lot different from the shoes I trained in, and they made my thighs ache more, probably because I wasn't used to running in them. Looking back, I wished I trained in them more or just bought a second pair for the training. The key takeaway is to train regularly with all the gear you plan to use on race day. Not just train once, train regularly. And that includes nutrition, underwear, lubricants, hats, glasses, sun lotion and fuel belts. And not just once, but during every long training run you do. Over such a long distance, small issues like rubbing skin or suntan lotion in your eyes add up to become major problems. By practicing everything in advance, you can avoid this. When you train for several months for a marathon, it feels really heartbreaking to miss the big day when you get injured along the way. Injuries are part and parcel of marathon running, but there are things you can do to reduce your chances of getting one. When you feel any kind of pain, think of it like your body trying to tell you something. Stop at the first sign of an injury, rather than continuing and making it worse. If you stop straight away, you might only stay injured for a few days, whereas if you keep on running through the pain, you might end up injured for several months. The thing that made the biggest difference for my marathon running was swapping out 2 of my regular runs for swim or cycle workouts. For me, this meant running 4 times per week, plus 1 swim and 1 bike ride. The cycling and swimming helped maintain my fitness on the days when I didn't run. It also meant there was less repetitive strain on my legs and more time to recover between those runs, which meant I felt fresh and ready to go each time I did go out for a run. I'd also recommend using a foam roller or a massage gun to ease any tight or sore spots in your muscles. And if you can get to a sports masseur, even better. I found that massage and foam rolling often help you pinpoint where the problem is coming from, so that you can then treat it more effectively. Whatever you do, don't ignore injuries or hope they'll just go away. Listen to your body and adjust your training if something doesn't feel right. Your number 1 goal in marathon training is to make it to the start line feeling okay, so don't risk that by ignoring early warning signs. Did you know that something as simple as skin rubbing can ruin your whole race? I learned that the hard way in my first marathon, and let's just say it was pretty brutal. As the miles ticked by, I developed sore underarms, and it got to a point where I couldn't swing my arms anymore. It was so painful that I just couldn't wait for the event to be over. And it's not just the armpits. Rubbing can hit your feet, nipples, inner thighs, or even around your waistband. In a short race, something cheap like petroleum jelly might do the trick, but when you're racing for several hours, you tend to need a lubricant that lasts even longer, otherwise you'll need to reapply it mid-race. The best marathon lubricant I've found so far is Body Glide. It comes as a stick and it seems to last all day when I've used it. I also carry a small lip balm stick during the race so I can quickly apply it if I feel like there's any rubbing starting. It's a simple hack, but it can save you a lot of pain later. By the way, if you have any marathon race day hacks that I've missed, do let me know in the comments section. Hydration during a marathon is key to maintaining performance and avoiding issues like cramping, fatigue, or even hyponatremia, which is dangerously low blood sodium levels. During the marathon, your fluid needs will vary based on your sweat rate, pace, and the weather conditions. Most runners can comfortably consume about 300 to 750 millilitres or 10 to 25 ounces of fluid per hour, so it's advisable to listen to your body's thirst cues and adjust accordingly. Incorporating electrolytes, particularly sodium, during the race is also important to maintain fluid balance and nerve function. A good rule of thumb is to consume between 300 and 700 milligrams of sodium per hour, especially if you're a salty sweater or the conditions are hot. This can come from electrolyte drinks, gels, or salt capsules, so look at the labels of things to see how much they contain. Practicing your hydration plan will help you determine what works best for your body. I wish I'd known how important it is to do at least some running with other people and how much shorter and easier a workout feels when you're in good company. I've trained for several marathons entirely on my own, and while there are some benefits to training alone, it does make it feel harder sometimes. These days I run once per week with friends and we do a tough interval session. It feels a lot easier doing it in company and the time flies by. It's also nice knowing that people care how you get on. You've got other people to share your training worries and race day highs and lows with, and that gives you a bit of extra motivation on marathon day. You need to accept that you will be tired more when you're training for a marathon. It's not so noticeable at first, but as the weekly duration gradually builds up, you'll find yourself feeling more tired for everyday tasks. Personally, in the last 6 weeks of my marathon build-up, I find I'm less creative when it comes to preparing videos like this or doing any tasks on my computer that require concentration. I also find I'm less motivated to do household tasks like mowing the lawn or making dinner. There are two ways to improve this situation actually. One is to just accept it and don't ask too much of yourself during this period. And the other is to include an active recovery week into your training schedule every 4th week, which is what I do in all my marathon training plans, which you can preview at myprocoach.net or by clicking the link in the description. When I first started marathon training, I didn't actually change how I ate particularly, I just kept eating like I always had. I lost quite a bit of weight at first, but I also felt constantly tired and irritable, woke up hungry in the night, and I struggled for energy during my runs. Each run you do burns between 400 and 1500 calories, which are in addition to the 1800 to 2200 your body burns each day just to keep you alive and active. When you're marathon training, you need to eat more to meet your daily energy needs. And the best time to take in extra calories is right after your workouts, because that's when your body is the most depleted and needs to refuel. Within 30 minutes of a tough run, aim to have a recovery drink or a smoothie with both protein and carbohydrates. Then follow that with a healthy, balanced meal, ideally within 90 minutes of finishing your workout. Eating well after training helps keep your energy levels up throughout the day, reduces cravings for unhealthy snacks, and sets you up to recover properly so that you feel better for your next run. Before you enter a marathon, you need to be clear on why you're doing it and what's driving you. This really matters because at some point it's going to get tough, whether in training or on race day, and you'll need to fall back on that motivation to keep going. So be brutally honest with yourself about what's pushing you forwards. For me, it's all about reaching my potential. I usually set a specific time goal or a placing that I hope I'll feel proud of for years to come. And if I'm being completely honest, I also like the idea of other people thinking I did well too. So that drives me to keep pushing even when my legs are sore and I'm low on energy. Another big reason, well, I like having goals in my life. Having a structured plan gives me direction and purpose, and marathon training fits that perfectly. But we're all different, and your reasons might be completely different to mine, and that's totally fine. The key is knowing what they are and sharing them with the people around you so that you stay motivated and get the most out of the experience. So if you're racing a marathon anytime soon, good luck with that, and if I can help you in any way, just reach out. If you like this video, check out the one on screen right now. You should also watch our Nutrition for Endurance Sports playlist for everything you need to know about fueling in a marathon. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video.